I'm awful.
Yeah. Okay, today's daf, Bez Hashem, is Masechta Kiddushin Daf Ayin Beis. We're going to start from Masechta Kiddushin Daf Ayin Aleph Amid Beis. And we were in the middle of a story over here. It's about four lines from the wide lines. The Gemara just said before. The Gemara said before that Ula went to visit Rav Yehuda in Pumpadisa, and Rav Yehuda had an old son, an old bucha that wasn't getting married. So he asked him, "Why aren't you getting married?" So the Rav Yehuda said, "I can't marry him off because I'm afraid of the people over here. I want to give him a meyuchastig marriage, and everybody. I'm worried about the families over here, that my son should not mix into a bad family where there's psulim here. So he doesn't know. So Amalei. So Rav Yehuda asked Rav Ula, "Hey Cheneved, how should I search for a good family for my son?" Amalei, so Ula advised him, Zil basa shtikusa. If you see that the family is silent, then you know that this family has no psulim in that family. Because the way, if there's a psul in the family, if there's mamzerim in the family, avodim, slaves, these people have chutzpah. So if you find a silent family that they're more shy, then you know that they're good. The Bnei Eretz Yisrael used to check out. When you see two people arguing, they would find the first guy that was quiet. If two people have a fight and one of them says, "Not shine, Genik, I'm quiet," Amrei, people would say, "Hi, miyuchas tevei." That person has more of a yichus than the other person that continues to fight. Amar Rav. Yeah. Rav said, "Shtitkuse de Bavel, haini yuchusa." Hi, Sheldon. We're just done.
Hi. Okay. Great. Okay.
Rav said, "Shtitkuse de Bavel." When you find people who are silent, in other words, people who are not cantankerous type of people, haini yuchusa. That's an indication that their ancestry is pure. Says the Gemara, "Haini." It's not true. Well, ikla Rav. Rav came. Lebei Rav Shafi Chale, to a vinegar maker, strainer, uvadikbu, and he started checking the ancestry. So my love, doesn't it mean if Rav was trying to do a shidduch with somebody, biyachusi, he was checking the yichus, the ancestry. And says the Gemara, loy, Rav was not checking the ancestry, not going back in the family tree. He was just checking if this family is bishtukusa, is it a silent family? Hachi ka'amalhu. Biduki ishaski Elisha. We're going to check if this is family that's quiet or they're a family that likes fights. So if it's a family that likes fights, is an indication that something is wrong with the ancestry. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav. Now here, Rav said a fascinating thing, that sometimes Hashem makes a fight between two people. Hashem can make a fight between two people, and for a good reason. You see two people having a fight with each other, so then you should know shemetz pesul yesh ba'achas behem. There is like a trace of psul in one of them. In one family, the ancestry is not so pure. So they don't want one of them to do a shidduch with the other one. So Hashem makes a fight so that they don't end up doing a shidduch with each other. And a similar thing, Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi, you see two families that are fighting with each other. So then shemetz psul yesh b'achas behem. One of them has a trace of psul in them. Maybe a mamzer somehow slipped his way into that family. So that Hashem makes a fight so that one family does not do a shidduch with that other family. Amar Papa, Rav Papa said, Sava, Amar Papa Sava Mishmein to Rav. Rav said like this: Bavel is Bria. Bavel is the most purest. If the country Bavel has the purest ancestry. Meshan, the place called the country Meshan, Mesa, is like a dead. In other words, everybody's impure there. There's psulim there. Jewish people, but there's mamzerim, avodim, amoinim, mitzrim. They're all combined there. Modeh is choil, is a sick place. In other words, most of them are kosher, but there's quite a few of them that are puzzle. It's not pure. Elim goiseses. Elim is like it's on its deathbed. It's mure. It's most of them are most of them are puzzle people. The Gemara explains, Ma ben choil and goises. What's the difference between a sick person and a goises? Roiv choilin. Most people who are sick, l'chayim, they're going to live. But Roiv Goisesim, a person is on the Goises then he's Lemisa, he's going to go to Misa. Okay. Now we said, I just want to point it out to you on the screen here, that this is Babylon, right? And this is where the Talmud was made, right? Babylonia. And what's very important over here is that the Gemara said that in this area over here is the most kosher place over here. There's no Psul Jews because all the Psul Jews were separated by Ezra and helped build the second base of Mikdash. They moved away after Nebuchadnezzar brought them here. Ezra took them back to Judah. The question is now, between the two rivers, Euphrates River and Tigris River, obviously they all join in the Euphrates joins with the Tigris and ends up in the Persian Gulf. But between the two rivers is where the Jews live. So that's for sure a pure place. The question the Gemara needs to know is how far did the Jews settle outside the rivers to the east and to the west, to the southeast. So that's what the Gemara is discussing over here. And we're going to have just a map, so the Gemara is going to discuss it. Ad Heichinu Bavel. Where's Bavel? So that you don't have to check the Yichus over there because you know pure. Rav says Ad Nahar Azak, Shmuel Amar Nahar Yuani. So Rav said it's up to, if you say that it's the Euphrates, it's the Euphrates, it's not the Euphrates, the Tigris River. So it extends to the outside the Tigris River to this called Nahar Yuni or something like that. So that's where it is. Rav said it's to Nahar Azak, and Shmuel says to Nahar Yuni, to this river. Le'el bediglas ad Heicheno, until on the upper southeast corner. Okay, this is the southeast corner where I'm pointing it over here is southeast corner. So up until then, where is Bavel? Rav Amad Bagda Avna, Shmuel Amad Mushkani. Up to the place of Mushkani, but not including the city of Mushkani. Says the Gemara of Amar Chia, Barabba Amar Shmuel. Mushkani, the place of Mushkani, is such a nice place. The Jews there, it's like Pumpadisa when it comes to Yichus. In other words, it's like the best place in Bavel. So how could you say Mushkini is not included? Elo, we say Ad Mushkani, it's up until Mushkini, Mushkini Beklal, and it includes Mushkuni. L'taklis bediglis hatecha, how far down? When I'm going down, that's north, because you're going north to south. So this is north. How far down do you go? So the Gemara says you go to this place called Apamya. That's what the Gemara is going to say. How far down northeast? So Amar Rav Shmuel says Ad Apamya, to this place called Apamya. Tatoi, the lower Apamya. So because the Gemara explains, Tarta Apamya have there were two Apamya places. Chad Ilosa, v'chad Tasoi. One was upper and one was the lower. Chada Kasher v'chada Pesula. One was kosher people there, and one was puzzle people there. Bein Chada l'chada parsa, between one Apamya to the other Apamya was a parsa, like North Dakota, South Dakota, something like that. And they were makbid not to talk to each other. They were strict with each other. They wouldn't lend each other fire for each other because they didn't want anything to do with each other. If you want to know which Apami is the worst one, the Psuta, the Mishtanya Meshon is the one that speaks Meshon. If they don't speak Babylonian, but they speak the Meshon language, well, we learned over here, Meshon is Mesa, is most of the people in Meshon are apostle. So that Apamya is a bad place. Now the Gemara describes le'el bepras atecha. How up on the Euphrates River do you go? Again, up until here. So again, Iya Dikra, something like that. You're going to go very high. So Rav Ma'ad Akra Dusul Balkani, Ushmul Ma'ad Gishru de Pei Pras, Rav Yechanan Ma'ad Ma'abras de Gizma. They gave you locations. How far southwest are you going to go? Now it seemed that Shmuel Rav gave a very high place, but Shmuel gave it even further. Rabbi Yochanan was the less. Light Abai B'Temer Rabbi Yosef ad Rav. Abai was upset, and some say Rabbi Yosef was upset against Rav. That Rav extended Bavel too far. So, but if you look on a map, it seems that he was only upset at Rav. Shmuel even extended Bavel much further. Ad Gishru de Beipras. Ad the Rav Layet, ad the Shmuel Loy Layet. Was he upset against Rav, not against Shmuel? Ella, what rather was, Abai was upset against Rav, Kolshkin and Shmuel, because they felt that Bavel didn't go that far. In other words, Psulim are there. Bavel is a smaller area, and it makes perfect sense, because when the Nebuchadnezzar brought all the Jews to Bavel, how many Jews already were there? By the time of Abaye, the Jewish population expanded, but Abaye felt that it wasn't pure as you extended outwards, and so therefore he was upset at Shmuel, who said that that it's pure even until Gishra de Beipras, to the bridge of Beipras. So Ibai is saying, if you want to tell you, Shmuel was not, Abaye was not upset against Shmuel. It's just, the Gemara tells you a fascinating thing. The Gishra de Beipras l'tatoy havakoy. The bridge of Beipras was lower down than Rav's place. In other words, at the time that Shmuel made the statement, he was actually condensing, making it smaller than Rav. So what was the mistake? Why did people say he was extending it? So we go to Ayin Beis Amar Aleph, but now the Persians moved the bridge. I don't know. There was a bridge that moved, and they moved it to expand it higher. So in nowadays, it looks like Bavel goes up until that bridge. But in the time of Shmuel, the bridge was in a lower place. So that's why Abaye shouldn't have been upset against Shmuel. He was only upset against Rav. Amalei Abaye Rav Yosef. Rabbi asked Rav Yosef, "Lahachgis the pras on the western side of the Euphrates River to go." In other words, here is the western side of the Euphrates. So the question is, how close to the Euphrates River is considered pure Bavel? So we darshan. So Rabbi Yosef asked, "Why Amalei?" Rabbi Yosef answered, "Abaye, my daitach. What's your question about? Mushum Biram, because you're worried about this place Biram. Is it a kosher place or not? Meyachse de Pumbedisa me Biram nasi. The best guys from Pumbedisa, the best bacharim from Pumbedisa, will marry girls from Biram. So Biram must be a pure place." So that's the Gemara. Now we needed to know the boundaries of Bavel, because it's important to know where is the purest place in Bavel. In Iraq, right? That we need to know this idea, the machlokes of how where Bavel is the same machlokes regarding Gittin, because we learned that when Eretz Yisrael sends a get to Medina Siyam, you don't have to say before nechtam, because everybody knows lishma in Medina in Eretz Yisrael. They were very learned people. So in Gittin, if you send a get from Bavel, let's say to Eretz Yisrael, you wouldn't either have to say before nechtam, because they're very learned people in Bavel, and therefore a Papa said we need to know where Bavel is. So the same machlokes they had regarding Yuchsin was the same machlokes they had regarding Gittin. Rabbi Yosef says machlokes, but Yuchsin, they only had this argument regarding the when it comes to ancestry. Aval Gittin, everybody agrees the Be'akol ad Arba the Tinyana de Gishra, that it extends till the second reed ramp near a bridge. It was a well-known place. So again, that had to, because Gittin, the point is, where was the Talmudic center of Bavel, and how much learned were the people of Bavel? So it could be that they were pure Yuchsin further away, but when it comes to Gittin, you have to know, do they know how to write a get lishma? That could be a much more smaller place when it comes to Gittin. The best place in Bavel is called Chabal Yama. It's like the Techelis of the tzitzis. That's the best place. Chabal Yama. Shunya v'Giva the Chabal Yama. Shunya and Guvia, which are towns in Chabal Yama, which is a place in Bavel, is the best place of Chabal Yama. So Chabal Yama is the best place in Bavel, and Shunya v'Guvia is the best place in Chabal Yama. Ravina says Af Tzitzoitra. The Tzitzoitra also in Chabal Yama is a good place. Again, this is ideas. Tanya Nami Hach, we learned Ben Chonim and Pinchas Oima, Chavil Yama Tchelte Bavel, Shunya Beguvi, Tzitzoitra Tchelte the Chaval Yama. So same idea. The Brisa says corroborates what Rabbi Bar Chama said. Omar Rapapa said like this: you're telling me that the Chaval Yama is the best place, but nowadays, Arva Bekisoy, Kisoyim, the Kusis mixed in and married into the Chabal Yama place. Says the Gemara Velohi. That's not the story. Rapapa said something, but that was just a rumor. Itzahu Debayim that one of the Ketuyim wanted to marry a girl from Chabal Yama. Velo Yahavale, they didn't give it to, and they didn't allow it to. They didn't allow this Kuti to marry. They didn't allow the girl from Chaval Yama to marry the Kuti. Rashi says another pshat, very difficult pshat, which is Rapapa wanted to marry somebody from Chaval Yama, and he got a no in the shidduch, so he said that there's a rumor there that the Kituyim mixed up in the Chaval Yama. Anyway, my Chaval Yama, What's Chaval Yame? Omar Rav Papa says Zupras. It's near the Pras River, and it's there's a town Bursi. A little town Bursi is right next to a place called Chaval Yame. Says the Gemara, Ahu Gavra, there was this man, the Amalahu, he told everybody, Anam Mishait. I'm from this place in Bavel called Shoit Mishait. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Napcha Rava, Rabbi Yitzchak Banachko said, V'amar Shoit Mishait, Bein Haris Amadis. Shoit Mishait is a pure place because it's between the Euphrates and Tigris River. That's Bavel, that's natural Bavel. So the Gemara asks, "He bein hanaris amedis my hava," just because it's between the rivers. Amar Rabbi Chame Bar Ukva, Amar Rabbi Yochanan and Bar Chanina, bein hanaris between the two rivers. Harei kagoylel yochsem. So any place in between the two rivers, I think it means that where the rivers are narrow, in any way where it's narrow. That's where is the best place in Bavel. You don't have to, and that's where Shoit Meshach was located. Amar Rabbi Yochanan said. South, from south from Iyu Dekir and above. It goes up to Ma'adbar de Gizma. Abaya says Rutsua Nafka. There was a stretch of land that extended towards I guess the east, southeast, and that stretch of land was where Shoit Meshach was, and because of that, it's considered to be a very special place. Amarav Ika Bar Oven, Amarav Chanano, Amarav Chilozoin Nahavad Harei Kagoylel Yochson. Chilozoin and Nahavad, this place, Nahavnad is the best place for Yochsim. It's like Pumbedisa when it comes to ancestry. Amalei Abaya said, Loi Tzaitzilei. Don't listen to Rav Ika. He's telling you the Chilozain and Havad is a good place. Yavama who did not Hasam. And Yavama was falling to Rav Ika, and he was supposed to marry Yavama, his brother's wife. And so he said, oh, this place is a good place for Yichus anyway. Amalei, so Rav Ika said, am I saying my own statement? The Rav Chananel, it's Rav Chananel who agrees with me. Also, Shaila Rav Chananel, they asked Rav Chananel, Amalahu, Rav Chananel said, Hochi Amarav, Rav said, Chilozoin, the place of Chilozoin in Bavel. The Havnad, place in Havnad in Bavel. Harei Kagoyel Yochson, that is like Pumbedisa in Yochson. Uplige the Rab Abba Bar Kahana. Rav argued against Rab Abba Bar Kahana, because Rab Abba Bar Kahana is going to say that the Aseres Hashvatim, which the 10 lost tribes, some of them ended up in Chilazai in the Havardan, and the 10 tribes of the Shvatim, they didn't keep the Torah, so they started having mamzerim and all sorts of psulim were mixed into them. So Rav must have argued, if he's saying Chilazai and Havard is a good place, he argued against Rab Abba Bar Kahana. Rab Abba Bar Kahana, why does it say in the pasuk in Malachim Beis, Vayanchem? He took the 10 tribes. Sancherev took the 10 tribes. Baklacha v'choven ahar goizen u'morei modai. Chalach zu chilozen chover ze hadayav goizen ze ginzak orei modai ze chamodim v'charesev v'amilo ze nehavan v'charesev. So we see Nihavardai and Nichilozoin are places where the 10 tribes came, and therefore these places must be psulim places. My charesev mishmul krach mushki v'chuski v'rinki. Rabbi Yochanan v'kulam psul. All these places where the 10 tribes ended up, you should know, don't marry. Because they're all psula. Now, the Salka Daitach, Shmuel said that Mushchi is one of the places where the 10 tribes ended up, and that's a pasula place. And so people thought Mushchi is the same place as Mushkini. And V'amrab says the Gemara, but V'amrab Chibar Amar Shmuel, Mushkini is a good place. It's Mushkini is a good place. It's like the purest place, like Pumbedisa, when it comes to ancestry. Elos is the Gemara, Mushkani Lichud or Mushkani Lichud. There's a place called Mushchi, which is a bad place. Mushkani in Bavel is a good place. The Gemara is describing the Nevuah of Daniel regarding the 10, world superpowers. The 4 world superpowers, Mitzrayim, let's say, and then there was the Persians, then the Greeks, and then the Romans, right? So Utlosen, and he said it Benuvua, Utlosen ilim b'pume ben shnei. There were 3 ribs in its mouth and between its teeth. Rabbi Yochanan says it's describing the Persian Empire. Zuchilazan hadayav unitzivem shepama balatam palma palatam. There are places that Persia was in its teeth, and that means that they didn't control it, and sometimes it was in their mouth. That means that they did control it. So there are places that Daniel said in Nevuah that Persian will control, and Persian, and sometimes Persian will lose control of these places. Now the Gemara describes, I saw another wild animal, it says Daniel, and it looked like a bear. Now, remember, the second superpower after Babylon was the Persians. Remember from your Megillah, the Persians are the Iranian people, basically. So, and they contributed a lot to our Western civilization. So Tana Rav Yosef explained, but Elu Parsiam, these the Persians are referred to a bear. They eat and drink like a bear. They're fat like a bear. They grow a lot of hair like a bear. They have no rest. When you tie them up, they're like walking around. They have like ADD. So Rabbi Ami, when he saw a Persian riding, Omar, he said, it's a bear that's moving around. Somehow the bear is a symbol to the Persian people. Rabbi said to Levi, Levi knew how to draw a picture of people so you can visualize how they looked. So Rabbi said to Levi, how did the Persians look? Amalei, so Levi told him, they looked like the army of David's army. They were strong, well militarized people. Hareini Chabarim. Rebbe said to Levi, show me how the Chabarim people looked out. So these were like, terrorists. They look like the angels that do damage. Hareinu Yishmaelim. Here we're talking to very appropriate. Show me the Yishmaelim. Rebbe never saw a Yishmael. So he said, Doimin l'seirim lebeis hakisei. They look like the goats of the base of the bathroom. It looks like shadim of something like that hang around the bathroom. Hareini Talmidei Chachamim shebabavel. Show me, give me how to visualize a Talmud Chacham babavel. Remember, Rebbe lived in Eretz Yisrael. So he said, if you want to visualize the Talmidei Chachamim babavel, imagine Doimin l'malachei sharaf. They look like a white malach, like the white angels. Says the Gemara, you have enough. You have enough nafshe. You have enough nafshe. You have enough nafshe. The Rebbe, when Rebbe passed away. Now, the Gemara is telling you things that they said on their deathbed that was like a prophecy. Omar, he said, Himonia ika b'Bavel kula amanoihi. The place of money in Bavel is all Amonim. Misagri ika b'Bavel kula de Mamzerihi. This place, Misagra, is all of Mamzera. Birki ika b'Bavel. There's a place called Birk in Bavel. Shnei achim yesh machlifin ha'shesem zalzeh. There are two brothers that are switched wife swapping. Birsa de Sati ika b'Bavel. There's a place called Birsa Satya in Bavel. Hasyoim today, sorim achrei amocham. Today, everybody converted to Christianity. Why? Now, you see, Rebbe is on his deathbed in Israel, and he's prophesizing what he sees is going on in Iraq, in Bavel. And he said, on his deathbed, I see this place called Birsi Satya, and today everybody's converting. Why? The Akka Pira Bakavri B'Shabbat, the river overflowed there with fish on Shabbos, and the people were so excited, and they started catching the fish on Shabbos, which is an Issa Daraisa. Vishamti Rab Achib Rab Yoshe put all these people in Cherem. And then Vishtamud and Loyolenu, even though they put them in Cherem, they went off the derech and they actually converted. So that's what Rebbe said. Akra Da'agma Ikbabal. There's a place called Akra Da'agma. Ada Barahava Yashpa. There's a great tzaddik called Ada Barahava who's living in Akra Da'abwa. And we go to Ahmed Beis. Hayoim Yoshim B'Cheka Shal Avram. He just had his bris milah, this Rab Ada Barahava. So Rebbe was saying on his deathbed, which great tzaddik was just born? Hayoim, today, Noiled Rav Yehuda. He also said today was Rav Yehuda was born. So he said Adabar Hava just took his bris, and today Rav Yehuda was born. We learned in a brisa, Kishemes Rabbi Akiva passed away, Noiled Rebbe. Then Rebbe was born. Kishemes Rebbe, when Rebbe passed away, Noiled Rav Yehuda was born. Kishemes Rav Yehuda, Noiled Rava, Kishemes Rava, Noiled Ravashi. This all teaches you that when it's ein tzaddik nifter min ha'olam, a tzaddik, it doesn't pass away from this world ad until Shnibra Tzaddik Kamoise, until another tzaddik that's just like him is being born. Shinema, V'zorach Hashemis V'Hashemis. Sun sets, sun rises. Actually, Kafsha Shimshel Eli. Even before Eli, the great Shofet, passed or his son set on him, the Shmuel Aramasi started to sunrise. Shinema V'nel Him Terech Richbe Ushmuel Shoichet. Now the Gemara darshans another thing that it says in Shmuel that says that the Jewish people always live in a bad neighborhood. I don't see Jewish people living in a place where there's no enemies around them. And that just keeps the Jewish people in check. God commanded that always around the Jewish people, Saviv of Tzarav, there's always people that are going to cause them tzaras. Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Yehuda said, even in Bavel we have that. Kegoin, Hamanya, Lefum Nahara. This place called Hamanya in the Lefum Nahara lived these people who are always causing problem to the Jewish people. So that's always, so we always never to feel so secure wherever we are, even in Israel. Or in Chutz La'aretz. That's the way it is. Now the Gemara, we're going to do one more piece and then we'll stop. Ki vahi udarshan yecheskel ki navi plauti ben benyo meis ve'ebal apanai ve'ezek kol godom oima aha Hashem. Yecheskel heard about this Platyo ben Binyana who died very young. We don't know who he is, and Yecheskel saw this in a vision that this person died. He started screaming, "Oy vey, what's going on over here?" Rav Shmuel. There's a machlokes between Rav and Shmuel. One said that he was a good person, and one said he was a bad person. If he was a good person, he died too young. If he was a bad person, he's complaining that he died he died peacefully. So the one that says this Platyo ben Benyo was a good person. The story went like this. Why is he a good person? When the Jewish people came down to Bavel, not only did Nebuchadnezzar bring them, but he also took the Jewish people, especially the rich ones, and he took captive their slaves. So not only the regular Jews were slaves, but their slaves became slaves to Nebuchadnezzar. And there was the story, the Stanva, the Meshan, the ruler of Meshan, which is near Bavel, Chasne Nebuchadnezzar Hava. He was a son-in-law of Nebuchadnezzar. So he sent to Nebuchadnezzar, so you didn't send me any, you brought home a lot of slaves from your campaign against Judah, right? And you didn't send me one of those slaves. We can use some good slaves over here. So, he wanted to send the regular Jews to go to Meshan. Amalei Platyo ben Benyo, Platyo, who was somehow a confidant of Nebuchadnezzar, told Nebuchadnezzar, Ananda Chashvinim, the Jews themselves are prominent people. Let them stay in Babylon to be next to you, right? And be around the capital, so to speak. The Avdach, the slaves of the Jewish people, Nezli Hassam, should go over there. So basically, the Jews themselves ended up in Babylon. Their own slaves ended up working by Meshan, which was good because the Jews stayed next to the emperor, so to speak, and they were always considered important. And then they sort of were emancipated by the Persians, and they were in a prominent location. The Amanavi, and so Yecheskel said, whoever did such a nice thing to the Jewish people should die, should live a short life. So the Gemara says, the other one that says Palti ben Rafi did a bad thing. So the pasuk says, "V'tovei oisi ashar beis Hashem ha'gadmei ha'poyne kadima v'hine Pesach ashar esrim chamishi ish v'erev b'soichem es Yaznel ben Yehuza v'esplatyo ben Binyo sorry am." So Yecheskel saw a Navi that there were 25 people around the Beis Hamikdash. He saw this vision in Bavel. Uksiv v'yovei oisi el chatzar beis Hashem ha'pniyim v'ni Pesach Hashem heichal bein ulam bein amazbeach k'esrim chamishi ish achareim el echel Hashem v'pneim kedma. He saw these people. These 25 people, and Platyo ben Binyaho was one of those people, and he saw them in his vision that they had their backs towards the Beis Hamikdash, and their face was facing east. The Beis Hamikdash faces west, but they had their backs facing west, and their faces facing towards, let's say, Har Zaysim. Why does it have to tell me that their backs were facing the west? Once your face is facing east, your back is certainly facing west. These people were so bad. Basically, they would drop their pants and defecate, towards the Beis Hamikdash. So they were bad, very, very bad people that repudiate the Beis Hamikdash. So Plati ben Binyahu was one of them. So Misha also somebody who did such a terrible thing should die a peaceful death. So therefore he was upset that this Palti ben Rafi just died like easy come, easy go. But he was a bad person. And we'll just finish off 1 more minute. Shmuel was the one that said this Palti ben Rafi was a bad person. Mushkini is a very special place for an ancestry. And Meisham, the city of Meisham, there's no Eved there, there's no Jewish slaves there, and no mamzers there. But Meisham is a problem because Kahanim Shahibola the Kahanim there were not makbid to marry divorcees, so they have a lot of chalolim there. So we see that there was no Jewish slaves in Meisham. But if the story of the good thing that Paltiyahu did was he sent Jewish slaves there, it must be that there are slaves there. So if Shmuel says there are no Jewish slaves there, then it must be that he wasn't the one that did a good thing for the Jewish people by sending the Jewish slaves, advising Nebuchadnezzar to send Jewish slaves there. Answers the Gemara, I'll tell you, Shmuel Amal Tova. Shmuel holds that Paltiyahu ben Rafi was a good person, but there are no slaves there. He advised Nebuchadnezzar to send the Jewish slaves to Meisham. But once they were sent there, they're now free. Because Shmuel Tamei, the Amar Shmuel, Hamafka Avdei, someone who makes a hefker his slave, Yatzal Cheres, he goes free. He doesn't need a freedom document. Shnema, call Ish, Eved Ish Nimka Miknas Kefes, Eved Ish Lo Eved Isha, El Eved Shesh Lo Rishus Rabbi Olav Kari Eved, Eved Shein Rabbi Shus Olav Ein Kari Eved. Once you're free, your Eved Kanani just moves away from you, and you say it's hefker, I give up, I'll never put him to service again. So you don't have to give him a freedom document. So those slaves that ended up in Meisham were automatically freed. So therefore, Meisham has no problem having Jewish slaves there because all those Jewish slaves were freed. But the only problem was because the Kahanim there would marry divorced women. Okay, we'll stop over here.